Hey, 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 you know what it is. You know where you is. You know what time it is. Welcome, welcome, welcome once again to the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, this is the place where possibilities become perspective. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me once again in the I Am the Possible universe. Guys, I am super duper excited to share with you the information that I have for you this week. But before we jump into any of that, I've got to pause for the cause. And you know what the cause is. That's right. You. You are the reason I do what I do. You're the reason I continue to show up. It is the image. It is the idea, right? It is the thought. It is the possibility of what one word, one idea, right, effectively communicated can do in a person's life that wakes me up each and every day. And I am so blessed to have you walking with me, working with me, sharing with me, joining me each and every week. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for showing up each and every week. Every email, every comment, every review, every interaction is so precious to me. And so I just want to honor you and thank you so much. Before I jump into anything else, I want to honor you. So thank you so much for rocking with me this week. Guys, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We are about to embark upon some amazing information. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to bless you. It's going to edify you. It's going to build you up in one of the most important places possible, the workforce. Okay. Here, let me ask you this question. Let me start off with this. All right. Before I jump too far into it, let me ask you this question. Check this out. Check this out. Drop a comment below if you're watching on the tube, and you should be watching on the tube. But if you're just listening, I'm holding up the number 90,000. Okay, 90,000. I want to make sure that it's in the shot. 90,000. Do you know what the number 90,000 represents? Do you know what this number means to not everyone, but to the majority of individuals? Can you guess? 90,000. That's a lot. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. This number represents, on average, the number of hours an individual will work. That's the number of hours in your lifetime that the average individual will work. Now, I didn't do the math. Okay. Well, I did some of the math. But it's just like loose figures, right? Works out to be somewhere around 25 or 26 years worth of your life. 90,000 hours you're going to spend in the workplace, in the workforce, on your job, in your career, whatever you name it, however you frame it. That's a huge number. That's a big deal. In fact, it works out to be 1/3 of your entire life. You're going to invest in working somewhere, working for someone, serving someone. You're going to invest 1/3 of your life, 33.3% of your life in working. And so I think that's a big deal. Now, last week, if you guys were with me, I talked about the fact that I am starting to really step into really defining and really clarifying for myself and for those that I serve how I can really add value, right? How I can really serve you best. Because I shared about I Am the Possible, where it began. I Am the Possible, what it does, what it is. And if you don't know, go back to those other episodes last week and the week before. I shared about the origin and about what it what it means to a person and how it really can influence and how it can really improve your overall quality of life. But I'm in a space, I'm in a season, a stage in my life where, like the harpoonist, right? My spiritual mentor, shout out to Kenichi Yoshida. He taught me about the harpoonist, right? As a harpoonist, you only got the one harpoon, right? And you're looking for that whale in the ocean, right? The ocean is vast and there's that one whale. And in essence, you only got one shot, right? And so for a harpoonist, focused, concentration, right? All of those things are very important to the harpoonist because you only got one shot. You got to hit the target. You got to nail it. So I'm at that season in my life where I've got to nail it. I've got to walk in and come into that space where I am most effective, most efficient. And I think that iAMthepossible serving you in the place that's going to impact you most, your work space, your work hours and time. I think that's really, really important. And so I want to share some things with you that I think is going to best serve you, and if they're listening, and they will be listening if they're not already listening, employers. So this is where I'm moving with this space, is serving the employee and the employer. Okay. And so I'm getting used to it. You as my audience, you'll be getting used to it. But ultimately, and it's not that we're going to do away with the innovation. It's not that we're going to do away with self-image. We're not going to do away with identity, right? We're not going to do away with any of those things. We're going to integrate, right? And again, that's a part of this harpoonist. That's a part of this this season of life that I'm in, right? So you're watching my journey real time, right? I'm starting to, well, really God is starting to help me to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And like I shared a couple weeks ago, I don't have a dream. My dream is to help your dream. My dream is to help you fulfill your dream. And many times it's either on a job or it's in the process of building a business. Either way, either one, this is going to be applicable to you and to those who are in a position of authority and power as a employer. Okay, so I'm going to be speaking to both of you, employee and employer. I'm going to be speaking to both of you today. So let me bring up my notes here. You guys can't see my notes because I've changed the vibe. We're not sharing through the computer anymore. So we are changing our vibe up just a little bit. So you guys have to trust me. You got to trust in what I'm saying. All right. So the first thing is I really want to begin to operate in this space of what I call re-envisioning the employee experience. Now, what's interesting about re-envisioning the employee experience, again, because we're looking at it going both ways. If you are an employer, I want to help you to re-envision the experience that you're creating for those that work for you. If you're an employee, then I want to help you to re-envision yourself in the workplace. Both are applicable and both have great value. Now, on my LinkedIn profile, I want to just read what my LinkedIn profile help statement is, just to give it a little flavor and a little context, okay? I help organizations re-envision their employee experience to establish a culture that retains highly engaged, enthusiastic, and effective leaders. This is something, by God's grace and mercy, is something that I've become in the course of my working life. Okay. And so wise man once said, you can teach, what you do, right? But you can only reproduce what you are. Okay. You can teach what you do, but you can only reproduce what you are. And so I'm in the business now of reproducing, right? Reproducing myself in you, in others, reproducing this whole metamorphosis, this whole journey, this whole, going from caterpillar to butterfly, right? Couple of episodes ago, right? So I'm looking to reproduce this in the workplace. And this is what's going to help to open up the possibilities in your life. Whether you're working for someone else, right? You can realize the possibilities that God has created you for, or whether you're starting your own business, you can realize still the reason, the purposes for which God created you, because what I'm about to share with you is going to be applicable no matter what. So now let's get into this thing called culture. Okay. Let's get into this thing called work environment, because whether you're the employer and you're developing a culture, AKA environment for people to work in, or if you're the employee and you're in a work environment, sometimes, many times, we're in jobs that we don't like. We're in jobs that, really we didn't sign up for. Maybe we come from a long lineage of doctors, and so we decided that we're going to become a doctor. Maybe my, family, we were full of nurses, and so, I'm going to go into the medical field. Sometimes, especially in specific cultures, and I won't name them by name, but in certain cultures, you are expected and you are pressured into following a certain career path because everyone else has done it. It doesn't speak to who you are and what you are. It doesn't bless you. It doesn't give you life, but it will certainly honor the family name. And so just honoring the family name or doing what everyone else has done or following the path that someone else has outlined for you, that does not necessarily bring about fulfillment in your own life. And so today I want to share with you some things that are going to help lead to a richer work experience, employer and employee. So let's get into some of these notes. The first thing that I want to talk about is culture. What does your work culture say or communicate to your workers? I'm speaking first of all to the employer. What does your culture say to the people that work there? See, one thing that I've learned and one thing that I have noticed in life, everything speaks. Everything has a voice. It may not be audible, but everything communicates something. Everything and everyone speaks. Even nonverbal communication, right? Your body language speaks, right? I can communicate something just by my stance, right? Because my body will communicate. Well, in the same sense, if you are an employer, you have created a culture that is speaking to those who work for you. That is without question. That is without doubt. The only question is, what does your culture say to them? What is it communicating to them? When they show up and they hit the clock, what is this culture saying to them, right? What is it communicate to them? And here's the bigger question, right? The area that I specialize in. Does it help or hinder your ability to foster, right, the kind of engagement, enthusiasm, and effectiveness that you desire to see from them? That's a big question. See, whether we know it or not, whether we're aware of it or not, the ways that you have, constructed the workspace, from the rules to the language to the literal physical environment, all of that plays a part in what that culture is saying to those who are a part of that culture. And it's either doing one of two things. It's either helping or it's hindering your ability as an employer to foster from those individuals the best of them. The best of them. I am really passionate about this. After 17 years in corporate America, I have seen some gaps that I am here to fill, both on the employer side and on the employee side. Because both sides need to know these things. Both sides need to become aware of what it is that I'm about to share with you. This is just a build up. This is just a setup. I haven't even shared the key points that I'm about to share that are just going to blow your mind. This is just kind of building it up, kind of ushering in this greater point that I really want to make within this episode. Guys, your culture is either helping or it's either hindering your employees' ability to be their very best, to offer their very best, to truly thrive and to truly flourish in the ways that they've been created. See, I think that that's one of, and I'm getting off my notes, but I just want to share it. I think that's one of the things that we have not truly leaned into as a workforce. like the people, right? Like I believe that the bottom line has to become the people. The people, in my mind, the people are the new bottom line. I'll say that one more time for the people way, way in the back. The people must become the new bottom line. It can no longer be the money. It can no longer be the budget. Well, it can be. You can keep playing that game. And the high performers, the people of this new generation, the Gen Zs, Xs, millennials, they are not about that. These guys, these young people, they are purpose over profit. I promise you. They are looking for fulfillment. They are looking for a cause. They are looking for an environment that enriches them. Your employee experience must be one that enriches your employees. This new generation, if you want to stay in business the next 25 years, 35 years, 45 years, if you want to stay in business, you're going to have to begin to cater to, you're going to have to begin to change your culture in such a way that these people, this new generation that's coming in, they feel wanted, they feel appreciated, they feel like they have a place and a purpose and a position that speaks to who they are. If they don't, then that top talent is out the door. You're not going to retain them. And I'm also speaking to the employee because you know I'm speaking to you. How long have you been in a job where you walk in and it's like, dude, this sucks. They don't see me. I don't feel heard. I don't feel appreciated. I offer my opinion. No one listens to it. I don't feel fulfilled. I'm not happy. And in fact, I'm drained emotionally every time I walk into this place. There's certain people I want to avoid. There's certain meetings that I don't even want to go into, right? And the list goes on and on and on. This is what so many people are experiencing. And I may be speaking to you directly today. You are in this space where you are experiencing great emotional exhaustion. Like work is like a battlefield, a battleground. It don't even feel like work anymore. It's like this emotional, this emotional tug and pull. And it's draining and it's suffocating. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. This is part and part. Part employee, part employer's responsibility. You both can play a part, and I'm about to share exactly how. Now, before I get into that, I really want to say that God created us for work. I don't want to overlook this. We were created for work, but we weren't created for work that drains the life out of us. In Genesis, the Bible says he created man in his likeness and his image. From the dust of the earth, blew the breath of life into his nostrils. He became a living being. He placed him in the garden to cultivate the garden, to work. It didn't become stressful. It didn't become toil. It didn't become, by the sweat of your brow, right? You'll earn a living. None of those negative nuances were entered until after they had disobeyed God and did what they did. But I won't get off on that tangent. Just hear the main point. Hear the one thing that I'm saying. Work is from God. Work is good. Work is for us. But it's the kind of work that you do that will either give life or drain you of life. That is fact. There are some things, and I have learned them, and I am passionate about you learning them. You are a good person. You have gifts from God. You are gifted by God. You have been given talents and treasure within you that you are to share and contribute to this world and this workplace, to your workforce, to your team, to your projects, right? But if you are not allowed because of the culture, if you are not allowed because of the work experience, because of the employee experience, if you are not allowed to operate in that gifting, then it's going to drain you of life. And you are going to work in these competencies. What's your core competencies, right? That's all we want to talk about. Well, here I am to introduce something new because we all got competencies, right? And I'm probably saying it all wrong anyway, right? But we all got our competencies, right? The little things that we do well, right? Most of that is not what we really do well. It's what we've just been taught to do. And we were able to do it at some level of efficiency. And so it's just enough to get by. But I'm not talking about just enough to get by. I'm not talking about just doing just enough to get by. I'm talking about showing up to work and thriving, loving what you do, loving what you do. Imagine that, re-envision that. Showing up each day, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, knowing, whoo, I can't wait. I can't wait to get to work. If that's not your life, how long are you going to live any other way? How long are you going to live any other way? And employer out there, how long are you going to be aware now that you're listening to this? How long are you going to be aware that you are in a position to invest in your people in such a way, give to your people in such a way, create a culture in such a way that it fosters, that it encourages, that it allows your people to flow in their greatness. And all of that greatness is now contributed to you and your business, your company, your organization, right? You are in a power position, not power over people, but power in undergirding people, power in supporting people, power in creating a culture that elevates the employee, right? That's what you have. You are able to do that. And I'm here to help you to do that. Okay? So let's get into this, man. Let's get into this because I'm all off my notes. I'm just excited. Brother then got all off his notes and then done got all passionate up in here. But that's who I is. That's who I is. So let's rock and roll. All right. So re-envisioning this employee experience, re-envisioning the culture. What I would like to introduce to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, is something called the contribution culture. That's right, the contribution culture. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you are a contribution. That is what you are. You are a contribution to the betterment of our society. That you just cannot get away from. Let me prove it to you really quick. Number one, the moment you were conceived in the belly of your mother, the moment you were conceived, you began to contribute to life. You contributed to her in a funny way, some discomfort, didn't you? As you grew in her womb, right? Her belly began to expand, her mood began to change, and everything about her began to change. You changed your mother's, right, entire body. The moment you were conceived, what they call it, morning sickness. She began to throw up in the morning, even before she even knew that you were there. And that normally is what prompts her to go and check it out and say, hey, man, something's going on. Something, what is it that's happening with me? Let me go take this test. And then they discover, hey, I'm pregnant. I am with child. That's a very simple, fundamental way for me to just prove that your existence has been contributing from the moment that you were conceived. In fact, I'll even take it one step further, backwards. Let's say that your parents were planning for you. They didn't even conceive you yet. They were planning for you. Get this. They bought a bigger house because they needed extra rooms because you were going to come. They increased their income. They got better jobs because they needed to afford you. See where I'm going with this? You have been contributing from the beginning. I'm not going to even go into the spiritual side. I'm not going to even break out Bible scriptures and all those different things to kind of prove it. I just want to keep it really basic and really fundamental. You've been contributing since the moment that you've been conceived. Check that out. Now, in this context, right? I want to help you to understand that you are a contribution. You are a gift in and to this world. That is what you are fundamentally. It is in your DNA. It is woven within the very fabrics of your DNA. You are a contribution and you are a gift. Here's how and here's why. Let me give you an example. I opened up with my trusty dusty magnifying glass, my favorite little tool, right? Self-discovery, right? The greatest form, right? What do we believe? The greatest form of self-development is self-discovery. That's right. So I love the little magnifying glass because it helps us to discover and see what's there. But this is also a contribution. Created in the mind of its creator. There was a problem in the world we couldn't see, and somebody said, hey, I could take glass and I can form it in such a way. I can take this glass and form it and fashion it in such a way that it will allow us to magnify things, make them larger in sight so that we can see the little details. Well, it was designed and crafted and created so that we can see things that we normally could not see. It is a contribution to our society. Now, a magnifying glass is commonplace. We see them everywhere. Many houses have them. People use them all the time. But at one point, they did not exist, and there was a need for them. Someone had an idea. Someone used their imagination to create them and bring these little guys into the world and make great use of them. And now we all benefit from it. In the same way, you are a contribution. Did you not begin in the mind of your creator? Did you not begin in the imagination and the thoughts of God? Were you not designed and crafted and created by the very hands of God for a season and time in this world? Now, you may not be aware of this, but I'll share this with you. There's a problem in this world. Just like there was a problem that this solved, there's a problem that you solve. That's right. You are a gift in and you are a gift to this world. That is what you are. Now imagine with me, employers. What if you thought about your people like that? What if you respected your people like that? What if every day you punched the clock, you came in as the CEO, as the COO, as the person over everyone, as the manager, the supervisor, the person that's over other people. Imagine if that was the perspective you had of every person working under you, every person that you lead, how you would treat them differently, how you would speak to them differently, how you would interact with them differently, and how the culture that you create would speak differently to them because they would have a different reverence. They would hold a different space in your mind. They would have a different value, right? Because of the way that you saw them. Okay, employees, imagine you understanding that you are a contribution into this world. Imagine you waking up every day and going into the workforce, knowing that you have something to contribute, that you are a gift to that workplace. How you would think of yourself a little different, how you would maybe, square your shoulders and put your chest out, right? And hold your head up high, right? How you would carry yourself, and how by you carrying yourself differently, how you would operate differently, work differently, present yourself differently, show up differently, and how that would, move you up in the company or move you up in the organization. Yeah, because you would flow a whole lot differently, right? Right? Well, that's been my life, guys. That's been my life. 17 years ago, when I joined my current organization, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know what I was specifically. I didn't know my gifts. I didn't know my contribution. I didn't know these different things. But there was something down in me that just had an idea that I was better than where I currently was. I started at the bottom, a 2-year contract. I finished that 2-year contract. I moved up to another 2-year contract. And then after that 2-year contract, I went another 2 years on just like some miscellaneous projects, right? Just kind of floating over here, floating over there. No real, steady position. I was just used for various projects. But one thing I realized, and one thing that I always remember, was I loved to connect with people directly. I love to share. I loved to educate. I loved speaking. I love communicating. And at that time, we were training physicians, right, on this new medical system. And so everything was about communicating this information for this system to these people who had never really been very handy with the computer. They had never used it to that degree. And so I began to notice that I was happiest when I was educating. I was more engaged when I was educating. Now, when I was doing some other stuff, filling out paperwork, working on Excel spreadsheets, working on timelines, things such as that, I could do it, competency, but I didn't necessarily want to do it because it wasn't my contribution. Now, I'm not here to say that, you deserve a job where you are 100% flowing in your contribution. But what I am saying is two things. One, as the employer, I think it's high time that we began to respect the fact that people are a contribution and they have a contribution, which I'll get to in just a moment to kind of unpack what that is. And then leveraging that contribution to improve the culture. Right? Imagine me taking this magnifying glass and instead of using it to see things, I used it to hammer something. Now, this is not a living entity, right? It doesn't have a brain, a mind, but just play along with me, right? Let's just use our imagination, right? Let's just be kids again for a moment, all right? Imagine that this magnifying glass did have a brain and it did have a mouth and it could speak and it could think. And it knew its job was to magnify things. It knew my job is to make small things large. But then I took it and I tried to hammer nails into wood, or I tried to, yesterday I had some filet mignons and those fillets were just amazing, by the way. But before I cooked the fillets, I took that, little hammer that you take, in the kitchen, and I just kind of like tenderized it, right? But what if I started using this to try to tenderize the meat? This thing would be saying, hello, why are you abusing me? Why are you using me for something other than what I'm created to be used for? Why are you doing something with me other than what I'm purposed for? I could be used a lot better. If you put me in this position, you could get the most out of me. But right now, you're just kind of getting like 50% out of me. And at some point, I'm going to break. Message. At some point, you keep using me like a tenderizer. I'm going to break. I'm going to break because you're using me in a way that I wasn't designed to be used. By the way, Miles Monroe says that where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. How many of us are being abused by definition on our jobs because we're being used in a way that has nothing to do with our purpose? And how many ways and for how many years have we allowed ourselves to be abused in the workspace, using ourselves for things that we were never meant to be used for? And emotionally, we're breaking. We're breaking on the inside. Well, that doesn't have to continue. That doesn't have to continue, guys. So I wanted to share that with you so that you can really get an illustration of what it is that I'm trying to communicate here. It's that serious. It's that powerful. And if we as an employer would grow in our appreciation, our knowledge, awareness of people's contribution, which you can, and I'll be sharing with you just how you can do that. Sharing, learning what their contribution is, and then as the employee, you can go off and you can research and learn what your contribution is, your giftings are, right? Your superpowers, as some people call them. You will learn what you do well, and you could find positions that would match. The employer is highly respecting of this thing called contribution, and the employee is highly knowledgeable of this thing called contribution, and there's this beautiful marriage. It's when the employee is in a position to operate at their best. That is employee retention. That is keeping top talent. That is your engaged, enthusiastic, effective leadership model I present to you. Okay? As if I'm like on a stage or something. I present this to you. Okay? So that's my case, man. That's my case. Now, I got a few more things that I want to share with you guys. and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Number one, all right. The scriptures say that a man's gift shall make room for him and bring him or usher him before powerful men, men of honor, men of wealth. A man's gift. If you are the employee out there, I want you to understand something. Our lives come down to our decisions. Decisions dictate direction. Direction dictate destination. Destination dictates quality of life. There's some other stuff that goes before that, but I just wanted to focus on that last piece. If you are in a job, in a position, and it doesn't give you life, and it's draining you, it's suffocating you, it takes everything you have each day to muster up the strength to clock in again. I am not telling you to quit your job. I am not telling you it's your season to quit your job. I don't play those games. What I am encouraging you to do is to take the assessments that I'm going to provide in the show notes today, if you haven't already done so. Take these assessments. Begin to discover who you are. Begin to discover how you are. And in that process, you're going to discover why you are. You're going to discover where you are most efficient and effective. This is going to help you begin to make a career change, aka a decision to work as you were designed to work. Through that process, you can begin to then look for new jobs, look for new careers, maybe even go back to school and get some more education because what you were designed to do just requires some more education. I'm not encouraging you to quit your job. You need to make your money. You need to pay your bills. You need to support your family. I'm not on that spiritual spooky stuff where it's, thus saith the Lord, quitteth thy job and goeth forth on thy purpose. You live in America, or some of you live in other countries, but it's all the same. You got to pay your bills, man. You got to pay your taxes. Okay. So hold your job down, keep your job until you can find something better and something that better aligns with why you were created. Guys, I'm going to put these assessments in the show notes, and I want you guys to really take this seriously. This might be the catalyst, right, to the possible in your life. Everyone's possible doesn't look the same. Possible didn't, you being your possible, you living your dream life. Some people are going to be able to do that and work a 9-to-5. Some people are going to have to transition into business ownership. I'm not here to tell you which one is better or which one is best. We are individuals, and you have to find that for yourself. You have to discover that within yourself. I'm here to give you some tools to really consider in the process and some things that are going to equip you to better proceed with the life and the days and the time that you have left. It is so important that you find the work that you were designed to do. Because God created you for work. Work is good, but it was not meant to be drudging and painful and toilsome to such a degree that it's causing you health problems and stress and worry and anxiety. There is better for you. There's a better life for you, and you can make that decision. You can choose. The word of God says, decree a thing. You shall decree a thing, and light shall shine upon your ways. So I want you to decree. I want you to decide that you are going to figure out, you are going to find why you were created. And then you're going to align the work that you do for the time on this earth that you have left. That work is going to be aligned with what you do best. Because now you're talking win-win. You're going to bless the organization and you're going to bless yourself. Why not? Why not? Wouldn't life be so much more amazing? Again, we're spending 90,000 hours doing this. Do you know how serious that is? 90,000 hours doing this? Why not? Why not make that decision and make that change? Why not? Right? You owe it to you, and you owe it to those that you work for. Because if you really honor them, then you want to be in a position where you can offer the most value. You guys are seeing my transformation. You guys are seeing real time me getting all of the pieces put together in this puzzle called my career. I've come a long way over the last 20 or so years. It all began with, I don't have a dream, but I want to invest in you accomplishing your dream. That's where it all started. And then some time later, iAMthepossible came. And now coming 17 years from those first 3 years, coming 17 years full circle, I'm understanding that I can make a difference in this area of communication, this area of intrapersonal communication, that talk within oneself. And this is all self-talk right here. Learning what you are, learning who you are, and making a decision within yourself. And then in this specific area of really helping change the culture within corporations and with organizations and with churches even, to really say, hey man, let's build a culture around contribution. Now, I've said so much in this episode, and I've got so much to share in so many other episodes. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, put a bow on this thing, because at this point, I'll just be rattling on. I'm done with my notes. I'm done with what I want to share in this episode. I hope and pray that you have received great value from this, that it sparked some ideas, that it stirs some things up in you, that has made you curious, that has made you think a little more about who you are and where you are in life. And if you are an employer, I hope that it stirs some things up in you. As a career path, like I said, earlier reading from LinkedIn, this is what I do. I help organizations. This is what I'm here for. So if you're watching this and you are an organization and you are having trouble with employee retention, your turnover is massive, people are leaving left and right, or you're getting bad reviews, bad results, your people, they're not showing up engaged. You have to pull teeth, right? They're not showing up enthusiastic. You're seeing long faces and people look, drained and hunched over. Or when you're in their area, right? You ask them, hey man, how's your day? And they're kind of putting on that fake smile where they're smiling just enough so you leave them alone, but in your heart and mind, they're not really doing all that well, right? So they're showing up, right? Not so enthusiastic. And their level of effectiveness, their efficiency is not where you would have it to be. If that's the place that you find yourself in as an employer, then I want to help you. I want to help you and your organization. I want to partner with you. I want to come. I want to share. I want to speak at your organization. I want to share so much more about some specific strategies that can help you go from where you are today to where you want to be as an organization. This is who I am. This is what I do. I'm passionate about it. I have a heart for your people, and I have a heart for you. I have a heart to help you bring in that top talent and then to retain that top talent for years to come. Again, if you want to stay in business for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, these Gen X, Gen Zs, millennials, these guys are putting purpose over profit, man. They must become your new bottom line. They must become your new bottom line. Don't be afraid of losing profit. Don't be afraid of not making money. If the people come first, if they truly become first and they feel the culture that you create makes them feel, the culture that you create speaks to them and says to them that they matter, they're not going anywhere. Think about this, and I'll close with this. If someone enjoys doing something, they're going to do it more often and they're going to do it longer. And they're only going to do it better the more they do it. If someone likes a place, they're going to go more often. They're going to stay longer, retention. They're going to stay longer and they're going to enjoy doing it. They're going to be engaged, enthusiastic. They're going to be effective as a byproduct. Effectiveness is a byproduct of engagement and enthusiasm. And you, as the employer, you have a great opportunity to change your culture. so that it says to your people, I honor you, I respect you, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. And yes, I'll say it, I love you. Yes, it is high time that we bring enjoyment back to our employment. Oh yes, I said it. It is so time to bring enjoyment back to employment. It doesn't have to be an emotional, exhausting experience. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You can change it. And I'm here to help you change it. All right? Okay, guys. Employers, employees, I hope and pray and wish above all things that I shared an idea that sparked the imagination, an idea that stirred your heart, man, and that it has helped you, equipped you, empowered you to do this thing called life, to do this thing called work a whole lot better. Guys, I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys. I'm believing in you guys. Until next week, I am Travell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? And I am telling you today, in some way, I don't care. Just don't delay. Get out there and be what's possible. Peace.